Totally 80s.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Welcome to another episode of
American Timelines.
I'm Amy.
And I am the most attractive fella in the world,
That's Joe.
Joe. Okay, I'm not that attractive.
All right. So today we are going to talk about 1982.
This is the third episode of the second season,
It's too many numbers.
the 13th episode overall
Yes, and it's
of American Timelines.
1982.
We're going to cover 1982. We are getting going in the 80s here.
Yes, and shit gets crazy.
And the 1980s were nuts. And if you were a young person, like if you were in your 20s and 30s in the 80s, man,
I can't believe you're still alive.
how are you alive?
Yeah.
I mean, those of you,
All that blow.
yeah, everyone did nothing but coke.
Yeah.
And neon parkas and headbands. Everyone wore headbands and leg warmers.
That's
It
right.
was on, every single person was on coke.
I know.
Everyone.
So once again, I looked up the toys, the popular toys.
Oh, the toys. I heard there was popular demand for this.
Yes.
Our listeners are going crazy for the toys.
Yes, in 1982, some of the popular toys. The first one was Barbie Bubble Bath, and this was Barbie had a hand shower that really worked, and a vanity, and a little bubbly bath.
And this was for the actual Barbie doll.
to put the Barbie in
yeah.
the bathtub, which I thought that was kind of fun. And then there was a Bye Bye Diapers doll who was you could feed her from her very own bottle. She wets, and then you pull a string and sit her on the potty, and she claps her hands.
Okay.
And
Because
so,
she's all excited about going potty.
yeah.
But she still wets her pants.
Yeah, if you don't put her on the potty, she would, yeah.
Oh.
Which I never had a doll that really peed, I don't think.
Yeah, our daughter has one.
Oh, maybe I did. Maybe that's my old doll.
No, it's a new one. That we
Oh,
bought,
she
I
does?
think.
I always think that's kind of weird. The Dukes of
Santa Claus brought it to her, that son of a bitch.
Oh, that could be. The Dukes of Hazzard pinball score up to 1,100 points by knocking blocks into the tray behind Hazard County Courthouse.
I'll have to say that's probably the best pinball there is, but I never get pinball. It's just
Yeah.
like I've never played it for more than 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's kind of boring.
It's like what am I doing here?
Yeah. There's a Fisher-Price houseboat. So remember,
I'd rather eat tacos.
Fisher-Price had...
Oh, the Fisher-Price houseboat. I had that.
Did you
and
have it?
I think my mom probably still has it. It was the coolest, best thing ever.
It makes a putt-putt
floated.
sound.
I don't remember
And
that.
it had
a diving board that you could pull out.
Yeah, the captain and a dog. There were a dining table, 2 chairs, barbecue grill, 2 deck loungers, 2 life preservers, speedboat ties to stern, and it had a retractable diving board.
Yeah, we had the retractable diving board, and I
Yep.
remember the life preserver or whatever, but all the other pieces I'm sure we
Were lost
or swallowed or whatever. But I always wondered, because we had it for so long. It was just forever. It was probably one of
because
my
those
brothers.
Fisher-Price toys
Yeah,
were around since
yeah.
forever.
So it was probably just handed down to me, but I always thought it came with Weebles or something.
No, those are the Fisher-Price little characters. They had like a little round
Yeah.
head and a little wooden body
Oh, yeah.
that you could sit in and stuff.
People. They're called
yeah,
people.
little people.
We call them just people. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like Sesame Street. They had all Sesame
Yeah,
Street characters.
that's
Big
right.
Bird and all that. Grover.
And then He-Man action figures were popular.
Already? In 1982?
In 1982, He-Man and Battle Cat for Masters of the Universe.
Really? Already?
Yeah.
But just He-Man, not all the secondary characters.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it was just
I
him
didn't
and Battle
think he
Cat.
was that earlier in the 80s, but we definitely got into He-Man a little bit later.
Yeah.
Ram Man, all those guys, Stratos.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I think, He-Man was one of the first toys that was a toy first. And then
Really?
And then they made a cartoon to sell the toy.
Oh.
It was just like a lot of the other ones were a show or whatever. And then these figures,
Yeah.
you like the show? Okay, buy these action figures. That was like a show was just a ploy to sell the merchandise.
He-Man.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's
like-
kind of a dumb name, He-Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
He-Man.
That's pretty stupid.
If you think about it.
Well, and again, it was like the Superman thing. Like Prince Adam looks exactly like him, except he talks like a nerd and he wears pink. But he's still a giant muscle-bound oaf, like
Named He-Man, which
Yeah.
is kind of a homoerotic.
Prince Adam. And then he's naked when he turns into He-Man.
He's a little homoerotic.
He's tan and he's naked, and he doesn't talk
and,
like this
and his name is
anymore.
He-Man, which is kind of a homoerotic
He-Man, yeah.
name.
Well, everybody's homophobic back then.
That's true. There was the official Pac-Man and Frogger tabletop arcade games.
Yes, we had some of those. Not Pac-Man. I think we had Frogger. Andy was a Frogger nut, my brother.
Yeah, you said that.
Stupid giant-headed prick. No, I'm just kidding. No, he loved Frogger, and he had that game.
It looks like an arcade.
Yeah, it looks like an arcade
thing,
game,
but
it's
it's
real
on the
little,
table.
and it's So
Did it work like real?
Yeah, it was the same game. It was just
Oh.
a miniature version of it. Yeah.
I think
I
so.
don't know.
Those are the toys of 1982.
Those are the only toys. There were no other toys.
Well, there were, but I just like
picked
you.
the good
You acted like you didn't like the bit, so I just kind of picked a few.
Oh, I didn't mean to give that impression.
Oh, okay. Well, last time you were like, "Oh, I didn't want to do this."
Well, I didn't want to just turn it into a toy podcast because
Why not?
there's like a million toy podcasts.
There is?
where it's just talking about toys all the time.
They do.
No, I don't know, maybe.
Who knows?
I don't know.
There's
My son,
podcasts about everything.
our son was watching a YouTube video where it's just a guy listing the top 10 of whatever, anything.
I know.
Here's the top 10 times there was a surprise on a sitcom, and this happened. It
Yeah.
was just random things, and he's watching it. It's just some guy, and the guy was like, "We have 4 million subscribers."
Yeah.
Like, why is anybody watching this jackass who could barely talk? Like,
I know.
He
Yeah.
didn't speak very well. Like, he was mumbling and didn't even have a pretty good. So I told him to turn it off, and I was like, "You listen to me. Make a list of the top 10 items in this room." And I was like, "That lamp.
Yep.
That lamp is a lamp. It's got a lampshade. It lights up. That's number 10." I mean, that's all the guy was saying.
Yeah, that's
like,
all
that
he
much
does.
about each thing.
Yep.
Number 9 was my shoe. My
Yep.
shoe is here. I stepped in some poop the other day, and it smells like my foot.
This is a nice story about my shoe.
Number 8, yeah, and you could just make those videos, and
Yeah,
kids would watch it.
That's
12-year-olds
true.
would sit there and watch it.
that's true. I think.
That's crazy.
So what happened in 1982?
Well, one of the things, the first thing before we jump into the timeline on
All right.
American timelines, I have one thing that I couldn't find a date for, but I wanted to keep
Oh,
it
okay.
in.
All right.
So it happened sometime in 1982, but I don't know
Yeah.
exactly when the release date of this game was.
Oh, okay.
This is an Atari game.
Yes.
Did you know that there was an Atari game based on the band Journey
No.
called Journey Escape? And
No. That's pretty funny.
this may be the worst video game in history. Actually, the company that made it, they're called Data Age.
Uh-huh.
They went under after they made this because I think it was such a failure.
Surprise, surprise.
Mhm. So, in the game, you help Steve Perry avoid groupies, basically.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, you got to get the Journey members
Oh my god.
to their bus without getting mobbed by
groupies because
fans.
everybody was crazy for Steve Perry.
But if you think about how Atari looked,
I know. He
everything
looked
was
like
just
Mario.
like it was like a square. I mean, Mario was good compared to some of the graphics.
Yeah.
Like if you look, like
It was like
the
pixels.
groupies were just hearts with legs.
Yeah.
And then the tour manager would help you. He would help save you, and he was
Oh my
like a
God.
pumpkin. And then so you had to help all the band members
Did you
get
see
to the
this
bus,
game?
and without the groupies stealing the evil promoters stealing
Yeah.
your concert cash. One other thing. That happened in '82 that I'm not sure exact date is the first president of Zimbabwe. I know this isn't Zimbabwean timelines, but the first president of Zimbabwe,
Yeah.
Kanan Banana was his name.
Okay.
He passed a law in 1982 outlawing jokes about his name. So I thought
Okay,
that was
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I had to keep that in there.
Yeah.
Even though I couldn't find the date. I was
What's
like,
his name?
Kanan Banana.
Because his name's like Banana.
Banana. Yeah.
Okay.
So they would say all kinds of things about
His name.
slipping on a banana peel
Yeah,
and like
and he was
sticking a
not
banana
having it.
somewhere. Yeah, he did not like that.
Oh my
So
God,
he
that's
made
funny.
it pass the law. I'm waiting for old DT to do that.
No kidding. He will. Give him time.
Sad. January 24th, the Super Bowl was Super Bowl 16. The 49ers beat the Bengals. The Bengals. I always say Bengals, like
Bangles,
Like
like their
Bengal-
bracelets.
yeah. Bengals, 26-21 at the Pontiac Silverdome. Joe Montana was MVP. Have you ever heard of him?
Yes.
Uh,
I'm not an idiot.
And the national anthem was sung by
By-
a 1982 former disco lady,
Did I already guess her
Motown.
in a previous?
I don't know, probably.
Diana Ross?
Yep, it was Diana
It was
Ross.
Diana Ross. Okay.
And the halftime show was Up With People tribute to Motown.
Sweet.
Always,
Up With People
Up With People was every year.
Was
I
all
guess.
the time. Yeah.
Because Up With People is like a
It was like
organization.
It was like a marching band happy time. I'm not sure.
I think it's still around. It's just like a.
You think it's still around?
Yeah, I looked it up. It's like an organization that celebrates people. Like,
Yeah. Up with
I
people.
mean, I think it's supposed to be like human rights.
Yeah.
And things. How much do you think the Super Bowl ad was?
$275,000.
No,
What was
no,
What was it?
324,000.
Well, I wasn't that far off.
I think we were in the 300s last time.
No.
I
It was
don't
still
remember.
200 something, I think.
No,
I don't remember.
Maybe. Who cares? Who cares? Why are we still doing
I
this?
don't know why.
This
I
and
don't-
the,
this
and the
is stupid
Kentucky
thing.
Derby. We're stuck with those.
Well, you keep bringing them up.
I know, but I think I keep bringing them up because people tweet and say,
Nobody
hey,
tweeted.
please keep
Nobody
bugging her about
tweeted. Nope,
Super Bowl
nobody
ads
said that.
and the Kentucky Derby.
That's in your brain.
No, I saw a guy on the street. He was
Nobody-
like, hey, are you an American Timelines
No,
guy?
that's not happening.
And I said, no.
All right, what's next?
Okay. Also, that broadcast also featured the introduction of the telestrator to a national audience for the first time.
And which is?
The telestrator, on the TV. Oh, you know how you've seen John Madden draw circles and
Oh, that-
circle guys,
yes.
draw a line. This guy's going to go over
Yeah,
here.
that's what that
This
is.
was the first time in the Super Bowl.
Was it like dazzling? Do you remember watching that? Being dazzled by it?
I don't. I kind of vaguely remember them talking about it being a new thing. Look, I can draw right on the screen here.
Yeah.
John Madden's probably the one who's most famous for doing that.
Mm-hmm. What just happened to you? You said John Madden was famous for doing that?
Every time I get it, it's like a hiccup, but it's not like a hiccup burp, but it doesn't actually.
Maybe if you didn't drink so much beer.
Like sometimes I have a hiccup and a burp, and they have sex inside my body. And
No,
they
that's not.
turn into
That's not what happened.
What's that?
It's just bizarre.
I'm just nervous. I'm nervous. You're judging me.
All right, what's next?
I'm nervous. Our fans are
What's next?
upset. January 30th, 1982. We have a new song
Yeah.
that's taken over the charts. Do you remember what was at the end of 81?
The John Lennon, right?
No, that was 80.
Oh.
I think the end of 81. I think it was. I think it was
We did it.
physical. But
Okay.
January 30th, 1982. We have a new number one that lasts till February 5th. Daryl Hall and John Oates.
Oh boy.
I can't go for that.
Oh, that's an awful song.
No can do. I can't go for that.
Like, why would somebody say no can do?
No can do. I
Why-
can't go for that.
Like, if
no
he-
can do. No can do.
Why would you say that to a girl? Like,
I
he's
say that all the
supposedly
time.
singing to a girl about something serious, and he's going to say no can do.
Well, this is where you're wrong, because speaking about the meaning of the lyrics, John Oates has stated that while many listeners may assume
Oh.
the lyrics are about a relationship,
Yeah.
in reality, the song is about the music business.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a stupid song.
It's not being pushed around by big labels.
It's a stupid
Managers
song.
and agents are being told what to do. I can't go for that. No can do.
All right. What's next?
I can't go
No,
for that.
no more.
Can't go for that. No can do.
It's an
I
awful
can't
song.
Go for that.
Stop.
That's the greatest song ever.
All right. What's next?
Can't go for that. Ain't nobody got time for that.
What is next?
Ain't nobody can go for that.
All right. Stop.
I'm gonna start saying no can do all the time.
No, don't do it.
To everyone.
Please don't.
According to Daryl Hall, during the recording of We Are the World, Michael Jackson approached him and admitted to lifting the bass line for Billie Jean from a Hall & Oates song. I
Oh.
can't go for that. And Hall said that he told Jackson, it's no big deal. Everybody does that. And Van Halen, in fact, did the same thing by lifting the synthesizer used for Kiss on My List for Jump.
So, according to Daryl
Because
Hall,
you'll kiss.
everybody else that's better than them has ripped them off.
Every good song
Yeah,
is
according to
stolen
Daryl
from
Hall.
Hall & Oates.
Yeah, that's
proven.
according to him.
That's proven. You name a good song,
Yeah.
stolen from Hall & Oates.
Okay, yeah.
Daryl Hall is a musical genius.
Yeah, I guess
he
he
is.
is.
All music. All music is
Oh my
Hall.
God.
And I had an Oates collage.
You know.
February 6th, another new number one.
Yes.
Hall & Oates get destroyed off the charts. They
Yep.
get thrown over the top rope by the J. Giles Band.
Is it Angel in the Centerfold?
Centerfold. Centerfold is the name. My blood runs cold. My memory has just been sold. Angel is the centerfold. Angel is the centerfold. The song's about a man who's shocked to discover that his high school crush appeared in a centerfold spread for an unspecified men's magazine.
Yes.
The guy in the song is torn between disappointment due to her loss of innocence and his lust.
And his boner.
And his boner. February 8th on TV, there was a MASH episode
Yeah.
featuring Lawrence Fishburne.
Really?
Yeah, he was on MASH.
I didn't know he was on MASH.
In this episode, this
Crazy.
specific episode, while Winchester fearfully avoids getting his agonizing toothache treated, the other surgeons discover a racist commander is sending his African American soldiers disproportionately into dangerous duty.
Wow.
I think that's where Larry Fishburne comes in, and
He's been around for a long time, huh?
yeah, he looked very young in the picture.
I
there,
guess so. Well, and he was in Pee-wee's Playhouse later in the 80s, right?
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
great.
Yep, he sure was.
And he also was Morbius in the Matrix.
Right. Oh, was that Samuel L. Jackson?
No,
Okay.
that's racist.
No, it's not.
You're racist.
It's not racist. I just couldn't remember who was in it. It's not racist to get confused between those two.
Oh, it is. They're completely different people.
I understand that, but I couldn't remember who was in the Matrix. I
You
saw it
are-
once a long
you are
time
just
ago.
as racist as Andy for thinking Wyclef Jean was Will.i.am.
You are racist.
No,
You are the racist.
no. Lawrence Fishburne and Samuel L. Jackson couldn't be more opposite.
That's not true. A lot
Did
of
you see
people
Samuel L.
confuse
Jackson
them.
being Cowboy Curtis?
Yes.
Cowboy Curtis, motherfucker.
All right. What's next?
God.
Quit calling me a racist. What's next?
February 19th. While wearing his future wife Sharon's dress, Ozzy Osbourne drunkenly urinated on a cenotaph erected in honor of those who died at the Alamo in Texas. He was arrested and subsequently banned from the city of San Antonio for 10 years.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
He was wearing his girlfriend's dress.
I peed on the Alamo. It was for
Peed on the
urinating
Alamo.
on the Alamo.
Yeah. In a dress.
Yep. February 24th. The Grammy Awards were hosted by Quincy Jones.
Okay.
John Lennon, Yoko Ono Double Fantasy won big, and so did Betty Davis Eyes.
Yes.
And we skipped, people might have noticed those Grammy lovers that are only listening to hear about the
Yes.
Grammys from the 80s.
We skipped it.
We skipped it last week, last year
Yep.
for the 1981 episode, and I looked it up just to see what did I miss. And it was hosted by B.B. King,
Okay.
which I can't believe because, I mean, of course, that was 81, so B.B.
Yeah.
King was way younger when I met B.B. King.
Yeah. He was ancient.
It was like 2016. It was right before he died. Like he was out to lunch.
Yeah.
He played "You Are My Sunshine" for 25 minutes
Oh my
straight,
God.
like without finishing the
Poor
song.
guy.
And he just kept like talking during it, and
jeez.
yeah, it was sad. He was a very nice guy though. March 5th, 1982. Yeah, this is terrible. March 5th, we have a actor death.
Okay.
Arriving for a scheduled workout, John Belushi's trainer Bill Wallace found him dead in Bungalow 3 at the Chateau Marmont Hotel on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. He was 33 years old.
God, young.
33. The cause of death was a combined drug intoxication involving cocaine and heroin,
which is
a
called
drug
a
combination known as a
Which is called a
speedball.
speedball.
In the early morning hours of the day of his death, he was visited separately by friends Robin Williams and Robert De Niro, as well as Catherine Evelyn Smith. His death was investigated by forensic pathologist Michael Baden, among others, and while the findings were disputed, it was officially ruled a drug-related accident.
Okay.
2 months later, Smith admitted in an interview with the National Enquirer that she had been with Belushi the night of his death and had given him the fatal speedball shot.
Oh.
The case was reopened. Smith was extradited from Ontario, Canada, arrested and charged with first-degree murder.
Wow.
A plea bargain reduced the charge to involuntary manslaughter, and she served 15 months in prison.
Did she? Who was this?
What was her name? Catherine Evelyn Smith?
Oh, I don't know who she is.
Yeah, I didn't know that name. I thought maybe you knew it, and I didn't.
No, I didn't.
His gravestone says, he gave us laughter.
Oh, he did.
Yep. On March 19th, the death of Randy Rhoads. Randy Rhoads played his last show on Thursday, March 18th, 1982 at the Knoxville Civic Coliseum. The next day, the band was heading to a festival in Orlando, Florida. Osborne recalls his final conversation with Rhoads that night on the bus involved the guitarist admonishing him over his heavy drinking. The last thing Rhoads said to him that night was, "You'll kill yourself, you know, one of these days." After driving much of the night, they stopped in Leesburg, Florida to fix a malfunctioning air conditioning unit on the bus, while Osborne remained asleep. On the property, there was an airstrip with small helicopters and planes. Without permission, tour bus driver and private pilot Andrew Aycock took a single-engine Beechcraft F-35 plane registered to a Mike Parton.
So you stole it?
He just stole it.
Oh.
On the first flight, Aycock took keyboardist Don Airey and tour manager Jake Duncan. He then landed, and a second flight took to the air with Rhoads and makeup artist Rachel Youngblood aboard. During the second flight, attempts were made to buzz the tour bus to screw
Oh my
to
God.
mess with Ozzy.
Jeez.
Aycock succeeded in making 2 close passes, but botched the third attempt. At approximately 10 a.m., after being in the air for approximately 5 minutes, one of the plane's wings clipped the top of the tour bus, breaking the wing into 2 parts and sending the plane spiraling out of control.
Oh my God.
The initial impact with the bus caused Rhoads and Youngblood's heads to crash through the plane's windshield.
Oh.
The plane then severed the top of a pine tree and crashed into the garage of a nearby mansion, bursting
whoops.
into flames.
Boy, that was a way to wake up.
Keyboardist Don Airey was the only member of the band to witness the crash because the rest were asleep in the bus. Rhoads was killed instantly, as were Aycock and Youngblood.
So nobody woke up when the plane clipped the bus?
Oh, yeah, they did. Yeah.
But they just didn't see the crash?
No, they didn't. You know, that's what woke them up. So by the time they woke up, it was already done.
Yeah.
All 3 bodies were burned beyond recognition.
Oh, my
Rhoads
God.
was identified by dental records and personal jewelry. According to Sharon Osbourne, who was asleep in the bus and awoken by the crash, they were all in bits. It was just body parts everywhere.
Jeez.
Yeah. There you
That's
go.
crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that
Crazy
is.
death. Randy Rhoads.
Oh my God. That is nuts.
It is fucking crazy, huh? March 19th also, the same time that happened, was the same day as the release of Porky's.
Oh, coincidentally.
Porky's, the greatest movie of all time.
The worst movie of all time, I would say.
I think that movie was basically made for little kids to walk in and have their
yeah.
heads covered. I think
Well, I remember the movie poster to
Yep.
this day. It was like a shower wall and a woman's leg, and then there was somebody's eye peeking through.
They watched the girls in the shower. We went to see. My parents took us to the drive-in.
I knew you were going to say drive-in because that's the only time we would get to see anything that was not for kids. Like I saw Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke when I was like 7 at the drive-in after Grease or something.
Yeah, like the kids would watch a movie, the kids go to sleep. They're supposed to go to sleep in the car.
Theoretically, yeah.
And then, I remember waking up and looking at the screen and seeing boobs.
Really?
And like all the showers and all the girls in the shower. And my dad just like laughing, and my mom like freaking out and covering my eyes.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
But you know what? I've loved boobs ever since.
Well, that did it.
I did it.
Porky's.
Thank you, Porky's, for making me a man.
Oh my God.
March 20th, a new #1 single takes over the Billboard charts.
Okay.
Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
I love rock and
That's
roll.
correct.
Put another dime in the jukebox, baby.
You know who originally sang that song?
No,
The Arrows.
don't know him.
Joan Jett saw the Arrows perform that on their weekly UK television series when she was touring England with the Runaways in 1976. March 24th, the Oscars. Johnny Carson hosted the Oscars. Best Picture was Chariots of Fire.
It's a boring movie.
I never saw it. I just know the song.
I remember seeing it. It was
And
boring. I used to play that song on the cello.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I used to play it on the cello.
I have a very interesting tidbit about that song later. But that won most awards too, and Raiders of the Lost Ark also won 4 awards.
Yeah.
April 10th. I can't believe you played the cello. April 10th. Larry the Lobster. You know what this is?
No.
You don't know about the Larry the Lobster ordeal?
Larry the Lobster's on SpongeBob.
Yeah, and that's based on this.
Oh, it is?
Who's Larry the Lobster?
Wait a minute.
What?
Is it?
Mr.
Is he
Krabs?
Lobster Boy? Was it Larry the Lobster? Was he a carny?
No.
Okay, I'm thinking
no.
of something different.
Larry the Lobster. Who is he on SpongeBob?
He's the lobster. He's the lifeguard.
Oh, the big giant.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, with the
okay.
muscles.
That's where they got the name from.
Yeah.
This. Larry the Lobster was the subject of an April 10th, 1982 comedy routine by Eddie Murphy on Saturday Night Live.
Oh.
This is one of the earliest examples of interactive television. Murphy held Larry, a live lobster, aloft and declared that the show's audience would determine whether he lived or died that night.
Oh my God. Poor thing.
Murphy then read 2 900 phone numbers, one for those who wanted to spare Larry, and another for those who wanted to see him cooked. Calls cost 50 cents each. Murphy tended to read the number to save Larry very quickly, as opposed to his giving the number to cook Larry very slowly. As like a joke, like he wanted to eat him, and very clearly. Updates on the voting were given by other cast members over the course of the episode, and in the span of 30 minutes, viewers made nearly 500,000 calls, sending phone traffic soaring.
They would save him.
Though the phone network survived the spike, it was sufficiently threatening to operations that AT&T established communication with the television network so that they could be warned of potentially disruptive future events. This system remains in use to this day.
Okay.
Larry was initially spared by about 12,000 votes. 239,096 callers voted to save him, and 227,452 voted for him to be boiled. And I guess I cut this off, but then Eddie Murphy ate him like 2 weeks later. Or something.
No.
Yeah. So,
Poor Larry.
Poor Larry the Lobster. Yeah, people boil them alive.
Yes.
Poor animal. Like, that's the one animal we don't give a shit about.
Yeah.
But I guess it did have a lot of people up in arms, people treatment of animals and stuff. April 12th, the MPAA tried to outlaw VCRs.
What?
Yep, unsuccessfully. The motion picture, because they were thinking it was going to stop.
Oh, it was gonna,
everybody was going to just record movies.
Yeah, nobody was going to go to the movies anymore.
And then they go to movies, they'd
it's like
use
Napster
blank
thing
tapes.
or something. Yeah.
But little they know it, like, people make tons of money from them.
Yes.
May 1st, sports. Gato del Sol won the Kentucky Derby.
Okay.
Gato del Sol.
Thank you for not making
I didn't
me
even
guess
try to
it.
make you guess.
Thank you.
In fact, I got a lot of research on Gato del Sol. He was a gray horse,
Yeah.
foaled at Stone Farm in Paris, Kentucky. He was sired by the Chilean horse Cougar, who enjoyed his greatest success in North America and was inducted into the U.S. Racing Hall of Fame.
I don't give a shit about anything about the Kentucky Derby. I'm sorry.
What about the hats that people wear? Your mom loves the Kentucky Derby.
I don't care for. I just don't. Who cares? I don't care.
You come from a long line of people who have loved like your grandparents have tattoos
no,
of
they
their
did not.
horses on their backs.
Nobody did that.
May 8th. Another song's new Billboard number 1, Chariots of Fire, that we talked about.
Oh, right.
And I gave you a little preview that I'm going to tell you something about this song.
Okay.
It is a ripoff, is what it is.
Oh.
It ripped off Vangelis, the guy who wrote Chariots of Fire.
Yes.
Was accused of plagiarizing Chariots of Fire from a piece by fellow Greek composer Stavros Logaridis called City of Violets. And you can go right now, stop whatever you're doing, people that are listening. If you're in a car, pull over, get out of your car and grab your device and look up on YouTube, City of Violets.
Is the same song?
It's a little different, but it's definitely
the
a
same.
rip-off. Yeah, definitely a rip-off.
Yeah.
So now you know.
Because all those Chariots of Fire lovers out there.
All you Chariots of Fire lovers that always do that. Like, there's people that try to pretend to slow motion run and all that. Like the most famous time that song is used is National Lampoon's Vacation when they're running to Wally World.
That's right.
That's the greatest. But this was number 1 on the charts. Like, it was on the radio and everything.
I think it's so weird. It's
From
like
May 8th to May 14th. It's like a week.
It's a classical music song. Like, there's no words to it.
No, not at all. And the guy fucking stole it.
I can't believe that was on the radio. It wasn't on pop stations, was it?
It was number 1 Billboard chart in the U.S. from May 8th, 1982 to May 14th. There only were pop charts then. There weren't other. I mean, stations. There weren't any other stations that played music.
I just think that would be weird to play. Here's Journey, and then here comes Chariots of Fire.
It was 1982. Everybody was on coke.
That's true. Nobody knew what they were doing.
Spiky hair, coked up, and on earrings.
Lots of blue eyeshadow.
Yep. That's it.
Okay.
May 16th.
Yes.
That Chariots of Fire. Okay, we're done listening to Chariots of Fire. Now we have the wonderful stylings of Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder in the number 1 charts. From May 15th all the way to July. The number 1 song, Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney duet.
All I can think of is Ebony and Ivory.
Ebony and Ivory.
Because for a minute I thought that was Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney.
No, that was Say,
okay,
and The Girl Is Mine.
Okay, Ebony and Ivory.
Also the same year.
Okay.
But
I thought you were going to make fun of me mercilessly.
Well, I thought you were going to.
Because I have a lot of misrememberings of Michael Jackson related things.
That's just racist on your part. Thinking Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson are the same guy.
Stop it. Are you not?
No, but I thought you would think it was Frank Sinatra and Stevie Wonder. Because
I know the difference between Saturday Night Live and real life.
You are black and I am white. You are blind as a bat and I have sight. Side by side, you are my amigo, Negro. Let's not fight. You know who played that part?
It was no. I mean,
Eddie Murphy was Stevie
I know,
Wonder,
yeah.
obviously.
Yeah. It was like who was it?
Joe Piscopo,
Yeah, Joe Piscopo. That's
of course.
Right. That was like the only thing he did on that show.
And he was Doug and Wendy Weiner,
Oh, he was.
but he couldn't. His Frank Sinatra was blown out of the water by Phil Hartman.
Oh yeah.
I got chunks of guys like you in my stool.
Yeah.
Phil Hartman, the best.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. But that was number one for a long time. May 15th all the way to July 2nd.
Wow.
All summer, everybody was rocking
Rocking
out
out
to
to
that.
Ebony and Ivory.
Ebony and Ivory. I bet that really did a lot for race relations, though, don't you
You
think?
think?
Don't you think racists were like, took the hood off and were like, oh, yeah. And
Oh,
then just
let's not fight.
Yeah, they all just
Why are
hug
we
each
doing
other.
this anyway?
Let's just do some coke together.
Let's just be friends.
May 28th, Rocky 3 was released, 1982.
I never saw. I saw the first
Wait, what?
one. I know I saw the first
Wait,
one.
what?
I think I saw
Wait,
the second one.
Wait, what?
But I've never seen any other.
You didn't see the one with Clubber Lang?
No.
By far the
That's what I've
greatest
heard.
Rocky movie.
Yes.
Oh my god. Oh, God. What?
I never saw it.
Mr. T? Hulk Hogan?
Yeah, I never saw
This
it.
is why you don't like wrestling.
No, I guarantee that's
No,
not going to
this
change my
will
mind about
change.
wrestling.
This will change you.
No, it will
Let's
not.
go back in time and make you watch it. Oh my god, I had an action figure for Mr. T from this movie.
Did you?
I had a Rocky and a Mr. T and a. Oh my god, the best. Mr. T. This is when he became
A superstar.
my whole world was Mr.
Mr. T.
I had so many Mr. T action
Yeah,
figures.
you know, you still do.
I love Mr. T. He's
Yeah.
the greatest thing ever. And he beat cancer, man.
I know.
You can't stop Mr. T.
No, you can't. That's true.
He said like 12,000 people auditioned for that role, and they gave it to Mr. T.
Was he an unknown before that?
He was a bodyguard that they found. Yeah, I think,
and it was in Chicago, right? In a bar in Chicago.
Yeah, he's from Chicago area. He was a bouncer, and he won.
I remember
somebody saw
I
him.
talked to somebody once that knew him.
Yeah, he was. They saw him on TV. The people when they were
Yeah.
they were casting this because he was on They had a televised bouncer competition.
Oh, and he was
where
on
they
it.
threw midgets like
Yeah.
to see how far they could throw them and stuff.
That's such an 80s
little
thing to
people. They threw people and they like tore people's gold. Like that's how I got all the gold chains
Oh,
and tear them
'cause-
off of people.
yeah.
In clubs when he's kicking people out. But with Rocky 3, according to an interview given by Mr. T, he attended the movie's premiere with his mother. During the scene where he yells lurid remarks at Adrian, his mother turned to him and said, "I did not raise you to talk to a lady like that." She then stormed out of the theater.
Oh, she doesn't know the difference between a movie and real life.
Probably not.
No, guess
Mr.
not.
T didn't grow up with a lot of money.
No, it's true.
Hulk Hogan received the initial offer to be in the movie after a wrestling match against Andre the Giant at Shea Stadium. At first, he thought it was one of the other wrestlers trying to pull a prank on him, but when he returned from a tour of Japan, Hogan received a Western Union letter he had to sign for. The contents: Sylvester Stallone's offer to be in the movie. He immediately signed on for the role of Thunder Lips. And so in that...
I guess I didn't realize he was in that too.
Yeah, so in Rocky 3, the first Rocky's just this poor guy that
Yeah.
gets lucky and wins a fight or whatever. It's like the ultimate underdog story. And then Rocky 2...
Is it
I
the
don't
Russian
remember.
one?
No, that's 4.
Oh.
But by Rocky 3, he's famous.
Yeah.
He's a superstar or whatever. And so there's a big promotional thing where it's like, oh, he's going to fight a wrestler.
Yeah.
But... and he jokes about it being fake, but Hulk Hogan was like this big bad guy, and he really beats the crap out of him and stuff. But Hulk Hogan was coming up to this superstar. Like this was right before he became a superstar.
Does
He
it a
was
big part? He has a big part in it?
No, it's just a little part at
Oh.
the beginning. But
Yeah.
I mean, took wrestling from being just
Yeah.
a thing, like a
Little side yard thing.
side thing to
Yeah.
the national stage,
Yeah.
and he was starting to shoot up as a superstar. Vince McMahon Sr. told him, "Don't do that. Don't do that movie. Don't do
Oh.
movies. Wrestlers don't do movies. Not in my business. Whatever it is."
And he did anyway.
And he did it anyway. And so they stopped booking him, I guess, in WWF.
Oh, so he went
which
to
is
the other.
WWF in New York, whatever. So I think that's what sent him to AWA or whatever he had to do. But
Yeah.
but it did so much for his superstardom
Yeah.
that it made him a superstar, and they had to get him back. Like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
And then he became the franchise. I mean,
Yeah,
he put
he was
wrestling on the
everything.
map. But Rocky 3. Without Rocky 3, wrestling probably would have never got as big as it did. And Hogan, who knows if Hogan would have been as big. Maybe he would have. Who knows? But
Thank God.
thank God. Oh, my God. Thank God.
Thank God for you.
WWE Network.
Thank God for me.
Thank God for all of us.
Yeah.
Thank God for Joe Christian.
What?
Remember he said he hates wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
June 4th, Poltergeist came out.
I used to love that movie.
Starring Drew Barrymore.
It does not hold up well, though. It's really a big vagina, that closet.
What?
Poltergeist?
Yeah?
When they go...
It's just the graphics don't stand up, you mean?
It's so stupid looking. And the closet turns into a giant vagina that sucks everybody in.
I don't remember.
I mean, it's like slimy on the
I think you made me
inside.
go see that when they re-released it.
I never made you go see Poltergeist.
I think you did. Remember they re-released it in
That was The
Chicago?
Exorcist.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
I
different.
don't think I know the difference.
No.
I think I thought till just now, I thought they were the same thing.
Nope. You don't know. I should act like you. You don't know that Poltergeist and The Exorcist are
I
different
don't,
movies?
because that's stupid.
Well,
They're stupid.
Poltergeist
Anybody
is-
likes either one of them is a jerk.
Poltergeist at the time was very scary. I remember being scared when I saw it.
Really?
But
Poltergeist. Poltergeist.
But I was a little kid too. But the
I think I thought they were the same thing.
No, that's the one where she goes in the TV. The little girl goes into the TV.
That's Exorcist.
No, that's Poltergeist. Nobody goes into TV in The Exorcist.
They don't?
No.
Horror movies are so dumb. But Drew Barrymore was considered for the role of Carol Ann, but director Steven Spielberg wanted someone more angelic.
You know, there's a big curse with that movie too. Like the little girl died.
Yeah, that's what I was going to tell you.
And the older sister died.
Yeah, well, Barrymore's audition for this role is what landed her the part in E.T., but 2 of the film's cast members were subsequently murdered after
That's right.
Poltergeist. Dominique
Yeah.
Dunn was strangled by her former boyfriend, John Thomas Sweeney, in the driveway of her West Hollywood home on October 30th, 1982.
Yep.
And having been declared brain dead, died 5 days later at the age of 22.
Yes.
And Lou Perryman Pugsley was killed with an axe by a 26-year-old man named Seth Christopher Tatum in Austin, Texas on April 1st, 2009.
Yeah.
He was 67 years old at the time of his death. So,
well, and the girl who played Carol Ann died too. The little girl.
Yeah, but she wasn't murdered. These
No,
two
she
were
was
murdered.
Yeah.
2 people were murdered from that. That's crazy.
Is the curse.
Maybe Poltergeist is a real thing. Also on June 4th, the same day Poltergeist came out, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan also came out.
Did it?
Are you a big Star Trek
No.
2, Wrath of Khan fan?
Never seen any of those.
It was Ricardo Montalban played Khan.
Yes, that's right.
You knew that?
Yeah, I did. I remember that. Yeah.
Kirk and Khan never met face-to-face during the movie. All their interactions through view screens or communicators. That's because Ricardo Montalban filmed his scenes separately from the main production in order to accommodate his schedule of filming Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island.
Yeah.
Welcome to Fantasy Island.
And this will help you with Star Trek geeks if you ever need to get somewhere with them. There's a Star Trek running gag that there's a Federation embargo against Romulan ale, but this still doesn't prevent resourceful people like Dr. McCoy using medicinal privileges as a loophole from procuring some for Admiral
What are you
Kirk as a
talking
birthday
about right
present.
now?
And many Star Trek captains and flag officers have over the years in Star Trek canon viewed it as something of a status symbol, much like Cuban cigars in the United States, Romulan ale.
I don't know what you just
So
said.
if you see someone who's like a Star Trek fan, it's like, hey, you want to go drink some Romulan ale later?
I won't do that. I'm not going to
do
do
it.
that. I'm
You
not
can
doing
really earn their trust.
Nope.
Star Trek fans are idiots.
No.
You know, they're fucking
No,
losers.
Don't.
Listen,
don't
if you're
do
listening to this podcast and you're a
No,
Star Trek fan,
stop.
turn it
Stop.
off.
Stop.
You are not welcome. Just
No.
kidding. No, I actually love Star Trek fans.
You do not.
I do.
You don't have a feeling one way or the other.
I love everyone.
I know. All right. What's
But I like
next?
nerdy people.
All right. What's next?
June 8th, sports.
Oh, God.
The Lakers win the NBA championship. Magic Johnson was MVP. Pat Riley was the coach. They beat the Sixers 4-2.
Okay.
June 11th, movies. E.T.
Yep.
was released. E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Yep. I remember that.
Harrison Ford was in.
Put
Harrison
Reese's
Ford
Pieces on the.
Harrison Ford was in it.
No, he was not.
He was, and his scene got cut. He filmed a cameo.
Oh,
Boom.
really?
Because remember, his wife at the time.
Oh, that's right.
Wrote it.
Okay.
But the Reese's Pieces thing.
Yeah.
Originally, it was M&M's, but guess who said no? You can't use us in your stupid, crappy little movie.
M&M said that?
M&M said no. So they used Reese's Pieces.
And Reese's Pieces were put on the
boom.
map.
And Reese's Pieces went to the top.
Yes, they did.
And M&M's probably regretted it.
I'm
although
sure they
they're-
did.
They're fine. They're doing fine. Because if you look at the novel version, it's still M&M's because that's what was written in the script.
Oh,
Yep. So boom, I just schooled you on E.T.
you did.
And E.T.'s voice
Mm-hmm.
was provided by Pat Welsh, an elderly woman who lived in Marin County, California. And
It's always like some old
She
lady.
smoked 2 packets of cigarettes a day, which gave her voice a quality that sound effects creator Ben Burt liked.
That's The Exorcist too. The Exorcist too. There was for the demon's voice. It was some old lady.
Some old woman.
Yeah, and she smoked and drank scotch and smoked all these cigarettes. So she.
Next
could
time I
do
see
the
an
voice.
old woman sitting at the end of a bar smoking a cigarette, I'm going to say,
Are
hey,
you studying for a role
you
as a
E.T.?
demon or an alien by any chance?
E.T.'s voice. They also used different. It was that old woman's voice, plus it was the other sounds E.T. made were a combination of raccoons, sea otters, horses, Deborah Winger, Bert's sleeping wife who had a cold, a burp from his USC film professor.
Okay.
I don't know why Deborah Winger's in there, but
Yeah.
June 29th, Universal Studios sued Nintendo over alleged similarities between King Kong and Donkey Kong.
Did they?
Yep. They were like, you can't have that video game. You copied off of King Kong. Not only did they lose, but the court found a King Kong game that Universal licensed was actually in violation of Nintendo's copyrights.
Oh.
Boom. Boom, bitch.
Oh, that's something.
Boom. Give me your money, bitch, is what they said to me.
That's right.
Boom. Donkey Kong wins. Bitch.
I didn't know you were such a Nintendo fan. You're
No, I
really
just love somebody
celebrating.
somebody tries to sue somebody else, and then guess what? Not only did you lose,
Yeah, then you get
pay
sued.
me.
Yep.
You pay me, bitch.
All right.
Sorry. July 2nd. This is from Wikipedia.
Okay.
Lawrence Larry Richard Walters. Do you know who this is?
No.
You sure?
Lawrence?
Lawnchair Larry. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
July 2nd, 1982.
Mm-hmm.
Lawnchair pilot. Lawnchair Larry.
Okay.
Sound familiar?
No.
He was an American truck driver who took flight on July 2nd, 1982 in a homemade airship dubbed Inspiration 1 the Flying Machine.
Okay.
Consisted of an ordinary patio chair with 45 helium-filled weather balloons attached to it. Walters rose to an altitude of over 15,000 feet and floated from
Did
his
he really?
point of origin in San Pedro, California, into controlled airspace near L.A. International Airport.
So wait,
His
they were
flight
hot
was
air
widely
balloons?
reported. They were helium-filled balloons.
How do you get enough helium balloons to lift a person?
Walters had often dreamed of flying, but he was unable to become a pilot in the United States Air Force because of his poor eyesight.
God.
He first thought of using weather balloons to fly at age 13 or 14 after seeing them hang from the ceiling of a military surplus store.
Yeah.
20 years later, he decided to try it. His intention was to float over the Mojave Desert and then use a pellet gun to burst balloons to gracefully float to the ground. In mid-1982, Walters and his girlfriend, Carol Van Dusen, I think that was the murderer lady from a couple episodes ago.
No, that was
thick glasses.
Carol Bundy.
I wish it was her. Anyway, he and his girlfriend purchased 45 8-foot weather balloons and obtained helium tanks from California Toy Time Balloons. They used a forged requisition from his employer, Film Fair Studios, saying the balloons were for a television commercial. On July 2nd, 1982, Walters attached the balloons to his lawn chair, filled them with helium, put on a parachute, and strapped himself into the chair in the backyard of a home on 7th Street in San Pedro. He took his pellet gun, a CB radio, sandwiches, beer, and a camera. When his friends cut the cord that tied his lawn chair to his Jeep, Walter's lawn chair rose rapidly to a height of about 16,000 feet.
Whoa.
And was spotted from 2 commercial airliners.
In a lawn chair. Can you believe that?
At first, he did not dare shoot any balloons, fearing that he might unbalance the load and cause himself to fall out. He slowly drifted over Long Beach and crossed the primary approach corridor of Long Beach Airport. He was in contact with REACT, a citizens band radio monitoring organization, who recorded their conversation. REACT says, "What information do you wish me to tell the airport at this time? To your location and your difficulty?" Larry says, the difficulty is, this was an unauthorized balloon launch, and I know I'm in a federal airspace, and I'm sure my ground crew has alerted the proper authority, but just call them and tell them I'm okay. After 45 minutes in the sky, he shot several balloons and then accidentally dropped his pellet gun overboard.
Oh, my God.
He descended slowly until the balloon's dangling cables got caught in a power line.
Oh, no.
Causing a 20-minute electricity blackout in a Long Beach neighborhood. Walters was able to climb to the ground. He was immediately arrested by waiting members of the Long Beach Police Department.
Oh, my God.
Regional Safety Inspector Neil Savoy was reported to have said, "We know he broke some part of the Federal Aviation Act, and as soon as we decide which part it is, some type of charge will be filed.
Yeah.
If he had a pilot's license, we'd suspend that, but he doesn't." Walters
He's up in a lawn chair with balloons. What the hell?
Walters initially was fined $4,000 for violations under U.S. federal aviation regulations, including operating an aircraft within an airport traffic area. And it was later reduced to $1,500.
I still don't know how you get enough helium balloons to lift a human body.
He had only 45, but they were big, giant
Yeah.
balloons. Just after landing, Walters spoke to the press and said, "It was something I had to do. I had this dream for 20 years. If I hadn't done it, I think I would have ended up in the funny farm."
Oh, my God.
July 3rd. The Human League, Don't You Want Me, becomes number one. Don't you want me, baby? Don't you want me? The lyrics, it was originally written as just one guy singing it, and they changed it to a duet. But one of the it's a teenage female vocalist is on there. But the guy who wrote it points out that it's not a love song, but a nasty song about sexual power politics. Because if you listen to the words,
right,
he's actually saying you were nothing before me, you were
right,
breaking
of course,
up with me, and I'm going to kill you. Kind of thing. And which is sad. July 9th, Tron, the 1982 film Tron.
I remember that.
It was not nominated for an Academy Award for visual effects because the use of computers was considered cheating.
Oh,
yeah. How about that?
Yeah. I remember seeing I remember seeing Tron.
I never saw it.
I remember getting Tron glasses from McDonald's or something.
Really?
Yeah.
You still have them?
No.
What?
They were drinking glasses. You know how McDonald's used to always give drinking glasses, like real glass drinking glasses? They had like the Muppets.
And you can always get those at Goodwill.
Snoopy and stuff.
Goodwill,
yeah, that's right. Now they're probably worth money.
They probably are, all those ones.
Yeah.
What's that place we used to go to in Chicago that had all that old kitsch stuff? Uncle Fun would have all that stuff. Muppets glasses.
Yeah, Muppets and Snoopy and stuff.
Snoopy and everything. July 23rd, The Twilight Zone, the movie. Remember that?
Yes, I remember seeing
that. So
this
was being filmed on July 23rd, 1982, and an on-set accident took the lives of Vic Morrow and 2 child actors.
Wow.
Micah Dinley and Renee Shinyi Chen on the set of The Twilight Zone, the movie. A helicopter crashed on them during filming of a Vietnam battle sequence.
I don't remember a Vietnam battle sequence in that movie.
I never saw that movie, but Vic Morrow was waiting to film what would turn out to be the scene that killed him. He said to a production assistant, "I must be out of my mind to be doing this. I should have asked for a stunt double. What can they do but kill me, right?"
Oh.
While he was filming Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, he insisted on having a $1 million life insurance policy before he would shoot any scenes involving the helicopter in which he was due to ride. He was very insistent, and when asked why, Morrow replied, I've always had a premonition I was going to die in a helicopter crash.
Did he?
And then he did.
Wow.
Crazy, huh?
That is crazy.
July 24th, 1982. A new #1 song on the Billboard charts. Survivor, Eye of the Tiger.
Oh, yes. The Eye of the Tiger.
So this was the song for Rocky.
Yeah. Rocky 3, apparently.
Yeah. And they Sylvester Stallone originally wanted Another One Bites the Dust.
Oh.
And Queen said,
That's right. Queen don't sell out.
Queen said, hell no.
Okay.
Oh, also, several Republicans have tried to use Eye of the Tiger for their campaign things, and Survivor sued the hell out of them all.
Good.
Newt Gingrich got sued. Mike Huckabee got sued trying to use it. Mitt Romney tried to use it and got sued. They all got sued. And said, he can't use Eye of the Tiger, goddammit.
That's funny. Survivor's still around?
I don't
somewhere?
think they're still around. I mean, somewhere, but they're just like, how many people they can't use it.
Get the royalties.
But they must make so much off of royalties.
I know.
How many people want to use Eye of the Tiger?
Seriously.
August 19th. I just remembered, I think, when I was in middle school, I think the cheerleaders used Eye of the Tiger to do a dance to at our middle school gymnasium. I bet they didn't get the rights. I'm going to let Survivor know.
You should. Just sue them.
Yeah, or my middle school cheerleaders.
Yeah, you should.
August 19th, sports. Atlanta Braves had a 25-year-old right-hander named Pascual Perez. He was scheduled to start a getaway game against Montreal. Driving along I-285 to the stadium, Perez missed his exit. Unfamiliar with Atlanta side streets, he'd only been traded there a few weeks before. He was still early for the game. He decided to take I-285 all the way around. It's a loop freeway all the way around Atlanta. It goes 64 miles, kind of like 485 here. And he got all the way around, and he missed his exit again.
Oh my God!
And
we need to turn around.
How many times? I don't know. He just kept going. So he did that at least twice. Some people think 3 times. He ran out of gas, and he pulled out a convenience store eventually. And the clerk saw him. Was like, "Aren't you supposed to be pitching this game?" I was like, "Yeah." Anyway, he didn't make it.
He didn't make it to the game?
Yeah, and so Phil Negro had to play for him instead. One of the Negros. And Atlanta won the game, so it's a good thing he missed it. But his nickname became Perimeter Pascual.
Okay.
He was later murdered.
No.
No, he was.
Was he really?
He was murdered by a robbery or something.
Oh, wow.
A lot later. Not that year, but
yeah.
September 4th, 1982, new #1 song on the Billboard charts, Steve Miller Band.
The Joker?
Abra,
I forget that that's the Steve Miller Band.
I'm gonna reach out and grab ya.
Yeah, the Joker was the 70s.
Anyway, Capitol Music told him, don't release it. That song's gonna suck. Nobody's gonna like it. And then it hit #1. And he said, in your effing face, you effers.
It's kind of a stupid song.
Yeah, it is. It's not great.
Yeah.
So
Steve Miller Bands can be kind of crappy, though.
Steve Miller can be pretty crappy sometimes. But other times it can be great.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like almost take my shirt off in the Prius when I listen to it. Like I do like a half shirt. I just get my belly out in my Prius when I listen to it.
It's weird.
September 11th, 1982, Chicago, Hard to Say I'm Sorry took over the #1 spot.
Okay.
Hard to say I'm sorry.
Oh, yes. That sounds
It's
bad.
real slow kind of crap songs. September 29th.
Yes.
Do you have anything for that?
I do. On September 29th, 1982, 12-year-old Mary Kellerman of Elk Grove Village, Illinois, woke up at dawn, went into her parents' bedroom. She didn't feel well. She had a sore throat, a runny nose.
How old?
12.
Oh.
To make her feel better, her mom gave her 1 extra-strength Tylenol capsule. And at 7 a.m., they found Mary on the bathroom floor. She was immediately taken to the hospital, where she was later pronounced dead. Doctors initially suspected she died from a stroke, but evidence later pointed to a more sinister diagnosis. This is the Chicago Tylenol Murders.
That same night
Yes.
that was probably in the morning she died.
Yes.
That night, Family Ties aired an episode with Stephen and Elise went away for the weekend, and Alex hosts a wild party and worries over Mallory going off with one of his womanizing friends.
Oh.
Also, Facts of Life had an episode where, due to budget cuts at Eastland, Joe was going to lose her scholarship. With a deadline to find another at the end of the week, she's excited to find the one for which she qualifies until she discovers that it's funded by Blair's family.
Oh,
fucking Blair.
Blair, that bitch.
Goddamn Blair. Back to cyanide.
So that same day, paramedics were called to Arlington Heights home of 27-year-old postal worker Adam Janis. When they arrived, they found him lying on the floor. His breathing was labored, blood pressure was low, pupils fixed and dilated. They rushed him to the emergency room, where they attempted to resuscitate him, but it was too late. He died shortly after he was brought to the hospital. And his death was believed to be a massive heart attack. However, doctors would later learn that he also had a
autopsy
mysterious death. On the eve of his death, his family, they go to the funeral.
Yeah.
Then they go and gather at his house to mourn his death.
Wait.
And discuss the funeral.
Yeah.
No, they don't go to the funeral. They go to his house to discuss the
I was
funeral.
saying, his funeral already on the same day?
No. Okay. Adam's 25-year-old brother Stanley and his 19-year-old bride Teresa both suffered from headaches attributed to the stress of losing a family member.
Oh, no.
And to his relief, Stanley found on Adam's kitchen counter a bottle of extra strength Tylenol, took a capsule from the bottle and gave one to his wife. And then shortly after taking those, they both collapsed on the floor. And the shocked family members immediately called an ambulance. Once again, paramedics rushed to the home.
Immediately they fell, like right as soon as they took the pill?
Yeah.
Huh.
They rushed right to the home, attempted to resuscitate them, but Stanley died that day and his wife died 2 days later. So the hospital started to get suspicious following the death of the 3 family members. It was suspected that poisonous gas could have caused the untimely
Yeah, I guess you would
deaths.
think that first.
However, they consulted with another doctor at a poison center. It was determined that cyanide might be the culprit. Blood samples were taken from the victims and sent to a lab for testing. So they go and the blood samples are being tested for cyanide. There's these 2 firefighters in another location of Chicago discussing these 4 bizarre deaths that have recently taken place in the neighboring areas. Arlington Heights firefighter Philip Capitelli talked with his friend Richard Keyworth from the Elk Grove Firehouse.
Oh, Richard Keyworth.
Yeah, about Mary Kellerman and the fact she'd taken Tylenol before she died. And Keyworth suggested that it all could have been related to the medicine.
I bet that's related.
So,
That could be related, young man.
so Capitelli, the first firefighter, calls the paramedics who worked on the Janus family and asked them if they had too taken Tylenol. And to both the men's surprise, they discovered all 3 the family members had ingested Tylenol.
We got a Tylenol problem here.
So then the police were immediately sent to the Kellerman and the Janus homes to retrieve the suspicious bottles. Then the following day, the Cook County's chief toxicologist examined the capsules and discovered they were filled with 65 milligrams of deadly cyanide, 10,000 times more than the amount needed to kill the average person.
That's why
which
they
is
kill
why
them so
they.
fast.
That's right.
So,
Yep.
cyanide, it's like tablets?
They put it in. It's powder, and they put it in the capsules.
So it's just capsules. So they dumped out the Tylenol.
Yes, right. And they put the cyanide in it,
put
and
the
put the
capsules
capsule
back
back
together
together.
and put them in. So
That's
there's
right.
no way you would know there was anything wrong with it. Like
Right.
you couldn't, there's nothing you could do.
Right,
Oh,
right.
God.
So Johnson & Johnson was immediately alerted to the deaths.
Yo, Johnson, get Johnson.
And an October 1982 Newsweek article reported the company began a massive recall on October 5th, 1982.
Just everything in
Tylenol.
Chicago, or just how are they tracing
Massive. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it was like, don't take Tylenol when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I remember my mom would freak out. Cyanide.
Yeah.
Or cyanide in pills. I was
That's
like,
right.
what's cyanide?
That's right.
What is this? And
But did you have anything for October 5th?
tell me what's happened. You tell me what happened on October 5th.
This is when they recalled. Johnson & Johnson recalled all the Tylenol.
They recalled it on October 5th.
on October 5th.
Johnson & Johnson recalled that Tylenol the same day that LeVar Burton and Lynn Redgrave were on the $10,000 pyramid.
God. We had to know that.
Yeah.
But they recalled it October 5th, but by then it was too late for 3 more victims of the deadly poison-laced Tylenol capsules.
Oh, no.
So 27-year-old Mary Reiner of Winfield, Illinois, was recovering after the birth of her son when she unsuspectingly ingested Tylenol laced with cyanide.
Because you're going to take Tylenol a lot if you have a baby.
That same day, 35-year-old Paula Prince was found dead in her suburban Chicago apartment. Cyanide-filled Tylenol capsules were also found in her home. The 7th known victim
These
of
are all
Tylenol...
suburban Chicago? It's all like Oak. Where is it?
The
Oak
7th
Park?
known victim of the Tylenol poisonings was 35-year-old Mary McFarland of Elmhurst, Illinois. So soon it gets on national news. There's widespread fear sweeps through the country, especially in Chicago and the suburbs. The police actually drove through the streets with loudspeakers warning citizens
Telling
not
people
to take
not to take
Tylenol.
Tylenol.
Yeah.
my
And that
goodness.
made people even more freaked out. And then according to a Time article, hospitals in the Chicago area were flooded with telephone calls concerning Tylenol and the fears of poisoning. That it was this growing nationwide panic. It prompted the head of Seattle's Poison Control Center to inform citizens that if they had indeed been poisoned with cyanide, they'd be dead before they were even able to make a telephone call.
Yeah, you can't even do anything.
Yeah, so don't even worry. You're going to be dead before, which would even make you more freaked out, I think. Nevertheless, hospitals around the country admitted many patients under the suspicion of cyanide poisoning from Tylenol. Newsweek's October 1982 issue stated that some health departments actually banned all forms of Tylenol products, and many retailers
How
completely
do they ever
removed it.
recover from that?
I know it.
You'd think that would be just gone forever.
Well, it was the reputation was ruined by the scare because no one wanted to buy their products.
I always felt like Advil works better anyway.
The future of the company depended on how they were able to handle the situation. The Johnson & Johnson issues a nationwide alert to the public, doctors, and distributors of the drug, which was one good thing they did. Then they also issued the massive recall of 31 million Tylenol bottles, which cost about $125 million.
31 million, because they had no idea where it was coming
Yeah,
from.
and they also had a crisis hotlines. Following inspections, the company determined the cyanide was not introduced into the bottles at the factory, which led to only the other possibility that someone had taken the Tylenol bottles off the shelves at the store where they were sold, filled the capsules with cyanide, and returned them back to the shelves at a later period. They had no evidence as to who might have committed the crime, and there was continuing fear that more deaths might occur unless they caught the Tylenol terrorists.
And how do you even track it to what store if the person who bought it died?
Right.
They can't tell you where they bought it?
No, they did. They
could track some of them?
So on October 2nd, 1982.
Oh, you mean when John Cougar Mellencamp's Jack and Diane became the #1 song on the Billboard charts?
That's what I mean.
That's it.
Another contaminated Tylenol bottle was discovered by police from a batch of bottles removed from a drugstore in Chicago's suburbs. So they found another contaminated bottle.
They found a whole other bottle at the store before anybody died from taking it?
Yes.
Because October 2nd is also the same day that Kamala the Uganda Giant made his debut in Mid-South Wrestling against Tim Horner.
Oh, okay.
Also, on TV that night, there was a Give Me a Break episode where Nell Carter goes to jail because
I remember that episode.
They mistakenly cut her phone service off for non-payment.
I remember that episode.
You remember that?
I remember her going to jail, yeah.
The Different Strokes also was on that night, and there was called Shootout at the OK Arcade. And in his efforts to help Willis dethrone an arrogant video game champion at the local arcade, Arnold becomes hooked on video games.
Jeez.
It was a very special episode.
So investigators... Thousands of other bottles were undergoing testing for traces of cyanide. Investigators had no idea how many other bottles might have been tampered with. They offered a $1,000 reward for information. They discovered the cyanide-laced capsules were placed in 6 Chicago area stores. The Jewel, Osco, Walgreens, and Frank's Finer Foods. Each store contained one tampered bottle with approximately 3 to 10 tainted capsules, except for the Osco drugstore where 2 cyanide-laced bottles were recovered. So it was suggested by the police that the bottles were randomly placed. However, there was also a possibility the terrorists may have purposely chosen those specific locations for an unknown reason. Some thought the terrorists might have held a grudge against the producers of Tylenol or society in general, or even the stores where the bottles were found. And they thought maybe he lived in the vicinity where the drugs were sold. Or she.
It's a Me Too movement, baby.
That's true.
Murderers can be ladies,
You're
too.
right. So the toxicologists revealed the specific type of poison used following tests on them, which was potassium cyanide. It's mostly available to industries like gold and silver mining, fertilizer production, steel plating, film processing, and chemical manufacturing. So they thought the poisoner could have gotten it from a place he worked, like at a related job. But there was very little evidence for investigators to work on. So they started a nationwide manhunt.
Or woman hunt.
Although poison has historically been a weapon predominantly used by women to kill, they focus their search on an unknown male in connection with the crimes. So then they take their first suspect into custody.
Oh, they got suspects, huh?
Yes. There's a 48-year-old amateur chemist and dockhand that worked at a warehouse that supplied Tylenol to 2 of the stores where the tainted bottles were sold. And he became the FBI's primary suspect. The police thought that he admitted to having worked on a project that involved the use of cyanide. And it also said that after a search of his apartment, investigators found various weapons, 2 one-way tickets to Thailand, and a suspicious book that described how to kill people by stuffing poison into capsules. Although they lacked hard evidence connecting this guy, they charged him with illegal possession of firearms, and he was sent to jail and eventually released. So they didn't end up finding any hard evidence against him.
Could have been that guy, though.
So shortly following the murders, Johnson & Johnson receives this handwritten extortion letter demanding $1 million for an end to the poisonings. The extortionist asked them to respond to his demand through the Chicago Tribune. But instead, they contacted the authorities, who began to trace the letter's source. It didn't take long to trace the letter to a man named James W. Lewis, who was a tax accountant and known con artist, who was also sought in the connection with the brutal murder of an elderly man in Kansas City and a jewel robbery. So they issue a warrant for his arrest in connection with the Tylenol killings. They conduct a massive search for him and his wife, Leanne. It led them across several states. Photographs and wanted posters were distributed. And then during the last week of October...
Let's pause and mention that on October 20th, the Cardinals beat the Brewers in Game 7 of the World Series. Whitey Herzog was the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, where you're from. This is where you said they played Cool in the Gang celebration. Ozzie Smith was a Cardinal.
Yes, this was a big deal.
This was called...
And Willie McGee was the other big deal.
Terrell Porter was the MVP.
Oh, and that's right. I remember him.
This was called the Suds Series because it was St. Louis, the Anheuser-Busch
Brewery,
against Milwaukee, the Miller Brewery.
That's right.
And then on October 30th... Who Can It Be Now by Men at Work was the #1 song, and that was written in a treehouse with he and his girlfriend. They wrote it.
The Men at Work guy with the floaty eye?
Who can it be now?
Does he have a floaty eye?
I don't recall a floaty eye.
I don't think he had a floaty eye.
You are obsessed with floaty eyes.
No, that's the first time I've ever mentioned it.
No, but he was living in an apartment complex in St. Kilda, Victoria, next to a bunch of drug dealers, so people would often knock on his door on accident.
Oh, and that's where he came
And
up
he was
with.
always scared. That's when he wrote that. Who can it be knocking at my door? Bop, 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 bop.
During the last week of October, lab technicians in Chicago discovered yet another unsold tainted bottle of Tylenol.
Taint.
It was found less. It was found less than 1 block from where Paula Prince purchased the bottle containing the cyanide-laced capsules.
Oh.
It was examined for fingerprints and other clues that might lead to the murderer. that same week, a man named Robert Richardson sent a letter to the Chicago Tribune stating that
Dear Tribune,
he and his wife did not take part in the Tylenol murders and that they were unarmed.
we did not take part, and we are unarmed.
That was one of the many aliases used by James W. Lewis after his arrest of the elderly boss in Kansas City. So
Right? They just wrote a letter saying that
Yeah.
they're unarmed.
no, they said that they did not do the Tylenol killings.
Then November 6th, Joe Cocker and Jennifer Warren's "Up Where We Belong"
Okay.
became the number one song.
I always get Joe Cocker and Joe Walsh mixed up.
Joe Walsh doesn't sing, does he?
Yes, he does.
Joe Walsh is a guitarist, right?
He
For
sings. He
Aerosmith?
sings all those silly songs, like
Isn't Joe Walsh the guitarist for Aerosmith?
no, Joe Walsh. He sings like I don't know. I can't think of it. He sings all those goofy songs about going to party, and I don't remember. Yes, it.
Who's the guitarist
I
for
don't know.
Aerosmith that I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
Joe Walsh.
Maybe there's two Joe Walshes.
No,
Maybe it's corrections.
Steve Walsh.
Maybe it's corrections and
Barry
apologies.
Walsh. Anyway, they had to like beg Joe Cocker to do that song. He really didn't want to do it,
Yeah.
and he did it. And then they say that he felt like it ruined his legacy
Oh yeah, because it's
because he was
cheesy.
like a cool rocker guy, and then
Yeah.
he became that.
November 11th, 1982.
And November 11th,
Yes.
what happened on November 11th?
There was a news conference that Johnson & Johnson held.
So Johnson & Johnson's getting ready for this news conference.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Merv Griffin and Brooke Shields are on David Letterman. Joni Loves Chachi's on TV.
Yeah.
And that specific episode is called Beatlemania because while visiting her friend who's a nurse, Joni is convinced that she saw Paul McCartney at the hospital. And also, Too Close for Comfort was on television. Also, November 11th, 1982, Lil Dave from Another Bad Creation was born.
All right.
Remember ABC?
Yes.
ABC, BBD.
Okay.
Aisha,
Oh, that's
you
awful.
are a
That's
girl.
stupid. All right, all right.
Lil Dave was born.
Okay. So November 11th, Johnson & Johnson announces at a news conference that they're reintroducing Tylenol products with this new safety packaging.
That can't ever be
Tampered
That's while Lil Dave was being born.
That's right. They spent all this money to advertise it, and they gave this big coupons and all this stuff.
Did they mention that Lil Dave was born?
But it took less than 2 months, and then everybody was buying Tylenol again.
That's
And
it?
They were able to regain more than
Not my mom. My mom didn't buy it for years.
They were able to regain more than 98% of the market share that they had before the crisis.
Wow, that's real quick bounce back.
So 1 month after Tylenol reintroduces that, FBI agents received their biggest tip in the connection with Lewis's whereabouts. So they're still looking for him.
Still looking for that guy.
After a 10-week search, they received information from a librarian who she saw him on several occasions at the New York Public Library.
I saw that weirdo.
She said she was able to recognize him from the wanted posters at her workplace.
He looks just like the poster, and he kept scratching his armpits.
So then on December 13th, 1982,
Okay, real quick. November 27th, Lionel Richie's Truly became number one. That
Awful.
is an awful song. Awful. I love Lionel Richie. I would take a bullet for the
You
man.
do?
That song
you
sucks.
love Lionel Richie?
Hello.
Oh, that's awful too.
Is it me you're looking for?
All his songs
He
suck.
wrote Lady.
It sucks.
What about Dancing on the
Awful.
Ceiling?
That's a
Oh,
terrible
what a
song.
feeling.
What a stupid thing to sing about.
Oh my God, maybe Lionel Richie is terrible.
He sucks.
Oh no, but he's got a mustache.
Yeah, but
Anyway, the
he's
mustache is great. November 30th, Thriller is released.
Yeah.
In just over a year, Thriller became and currently remains the world's best-selling album of all time.
Yeah.
With estimated sales of 66 million copies.
Wow.
Seriously though, best album ever.
Yeah.
Thriller, Billie Jean, Beat It,
All on the same album.
PYT, Wanna Be Starting Something, The Girl Is Mine. That one sucks, but.
Yeah.
All those songs on one album. Michael
Yeah.
Jackson changed the world with that album.
crazy.
December 7th, during a television taping of WWF Championship Wrestling that aired on tape delay, Big John Studd announced his Body Slam Challenge, promising a payoff to anyone who can successfully slam him in the ring. Andre the Giant was the first WWF wrestler to successfully slam John Studd. Despite boasting that he'd never been or never could be properly slammed, Andre and later Hulk Hogan would slam him multiple occasions during the next 4 years. Bob Backlund slammed him, Tony Atlas slammed him, Roddy Piper slammed him, Blackjack Mulligan slammed him, Haku also slammed him.
He was just a horror.
Yeah, like he was a
everybody.
big dude, but then he just kind of got washed up. And Andre the Giant hated Big John Studd
Okay.
and beat the shit out of him.
Okay.
And December 11th is your date, right?
No, December 13th is
Oh,
my date.
December 11th, Tony Basil's Mickey. Oh,
Yes.
Mickey, you're so fine, you're brother, my Mickey.
That's right.
That was a remake of a song called Kitty by
Oh.
Dudes. Oh, Kitty, you're so fine, you're brother. Oh, Kitty, oh,
Okay.
Kitty. Just so you know. But Mickey became number one. That girl was a real cheerleader, and she was like...
Tony Basil?
Tony Basil?
Yeah.
She's like a well-known
She was a
choreographer.
choreographer.
I did not know that
That's
about
right.
her. But anyway.
That was the only hit she ever had, I think.
No, it was all she had. Yeah,
Yeah.
she did. But she went on to keep choreographing.
Yeah, she does.
Tons of things.
And she still does.
I think she still does.
Yeah.
She's 175 right now, but she
Yes,
still
she
does.
still does
yeah.
it. All right, December 13th.
Oh, the night. You mean December 13th, the night the Smurfs Christmas special was on?
Yes.
Okay, what happened?
The FBI surrounds Lewis in the reading room of the New York Public Library.
What? So the FBI set the scene surrounding the New York Public Library.
The reading room.
They found Lewis because of that librarian who tipped him.
That's right.
This is the same night that Square Pegs is on TV.
Yeah, I remember that.
A need for money forces the super cool Jennifer into donning a uniform and taking an unlikely and uncool job after school. Also, Cagney and Lacey's on.
So he was immediately arrested, taken into custody for questioning, and the following week his wife, Leanne, turned herself in.
Well, Cagney and Lacey's on.
So during the interview, the Lewises deny having anything to do with the poisonings.
And they're probably like, let us get back home to watch Cagney and Lacey.
That's
We
right.
have nothing to do with this.
So he also denies having written the extortion letter to Johnson & Johnson, even though his handwriting and a fingerprint on the letter was an exact match.
Oh, he's delusional.
So the Chicago officials disclosed that someone had sent another extortion letter to the White House threatening to bomb it and create more Tylenol deaths unless Ronald Reagan changed his tax policies. And Lewis was an accountant. He vehemently denied writing the second letter, even though his handwriting was a perfect match.
And he was an accountant, so he knows all the tax policies.
Aside from the letters, investigators couldn't find any evidence linking James Lewis or his wife to the Tylenol murders. Registration records produced by the police show that during the time the bottles were tampered with, the Lewises were living in a hotel in New York. Further evidence proved that Leanne Lewis was at her job daily in New York
People
at the
living
time.
in a hotel
I know.
are always up to no good.
And witnesses claim that James Lewis was known to meet her every day for lunch and after work. So the police weren't able to find any bus, train, or airline records indicating they had returned to Chicago during the time when the bottles were tampered with.
No proof.
So the mounting evidence ruled out the couple as being involved. So this is almost all the leads in the case have grown cold now at this time. By this time,
Cold case files.
although Lewis was never convicted for crimes directly related to Tylenol, he was eventually found guilty of extortion and 6 unrelated counts of mail and credit card fraud. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison. He served only 13 years of his sentence before being released on parole in 1995.
I wonder why he stopped if he was the Tylenol killer. Like why
Well,
he stopped.
he couldn't have been because they weren't in Chicago at the time. I think he just was a nut that wrote the letters.
Oh.
Following his arrest in December of 1982,
So they didn't do it.
they were unable to find any new suspects. So the team dwindles that's working on it. There's this roughly drawn criminal profile and partial fingerprints taken from some of the bottles, which remained unmatched. The profile has been widely disputed throughout the investigation. Every clue in a case is vital when building a criminal profile because it reveals important characteristics of the killer. In a criminal case that lacks evidence and involves a random selection of victims, like the Tylenol murders, the chances of constructing an accurate profile is very difficult.
I think Advil did it.
It could be.
That's
That
the
is
last
the
thing we
story
had.
of the Tylenol poisons.
So we still don't know.
We still have no idea.
So the last thing we did was December 13th, I think, with the
Yes.
Smurfs and the December. So we're almost done with the year. December 17th, Tootsie came out. The movie
Yep,
Tootsie.
that's right.
Did you remember that Bill Murray was in that?
No.
I clearly haven't seen that in a long time. But I noticed it. I looked up on this. Bill Murray agreed to omit his name from the opening credits to prevent audiences expecting a Bill Murray movie along the lines of Meatballs
Yes.
or Caddyshack.
Stripes.
He improvised most of his scenes.
Oh.
I guess he's like the actor or something. You know how you said Tootsie was
He's
an
an
actor,
actor.
whatever.
Yeah.
Bill Murray's like actually gets all these roles.
I
and
do
so
remember
he's like-
that now.
I
You
don't
say
remember it at
that.
all, but I watched a scene that was hilarious of him improvising. So now I want to watch that again because Bill Murray's great.
And Dustin Hoffman made a very unattractive woman.
Yeah, right.
A very ugly woman.
He did say that Dustin Hoffman came to a bunch of realizations during that he saw how unattractive he was as a woman, and he suddenly realized that he throughout his life completely ignored unattractive women his whole life and never talked to any of them, and realized that he's probably missing out on some awesome conversations because he only talks to beautiful women.
Yeah.
But with this whole Me Too thing, he's been really called out on a lot of
he has.
sexual harassment stuff. Yeah,
I didn't hear that.
So, and he's like getting angry at people. So
Oh, he is?
Yeah, I don't know if he's kind of like, who knows if that's anymore. We don't know about any of that. But so Bill Murray rules.
Yes.
December 17th, also Dark Crystal came out.
I remember that movie.
Did you love that?
Yeah, I did at the time.
Jim Henson's plan with the film was to get back to the darkness of original Brothers Grimm fairy tales. He felt children liked the idea of being scared and that this was a healthy emotion for them to deal with.
I agree.
I never saw that. Steve Bishop always loved it. And
Yeah.
I just was creeped out by those female Muppets.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Weird scene or whatever.
Yeah.
I never saw it, but I just never had a desire to.
Never wanted to.
Yep. And then December 18th, 1982, Daryl Hall and John Oates, Maneater goes to number 1 of the
She's
Billboard
a
charts.
man-eater.
Oh, here she comes.
Watch out.
Watch out, boy, she'll chew you up. And John Oates also explained that it's also natural to assume this one
This is
about
also
a
about
woman.
the music industry.
This is not about a woman. Also, this is not about a woman, not about the music industry, but it's about the city of New York
Oh.
in the 80s. It's about greed, avarice, and spoiled riches.
Hall and Oates really think they're deep
Well, just Oates. Oates is a deep
Oates
thinker.
thinks he's a deep thinker.
Oates is
Hall thinks everybody's ripped him off
Oates is worthy of a collage. Hall thinks all music is based on
his crap.
Rich Girl. Every single song is based on Rich Girl.
Yeah.
Every single song. And December 25th on Christmas.
Yes.
This is the last thing I have for 1982.
Yes.
Ric Flair retains his
my
NWA World title against Kerry Von Erich in a cage match
my
with
God.
Fabulous Freebird Michael Hayes as the guest referee
Ric Flair's such a weirdo.
at WCCW's Christmas Star Wars card in Dallas, Texas. Hayes pulled Kerry on top of a dazed Flair following a mid-ring collision and made the 3 count, but Kerry refuses to win the title by cheating. The aftermath of the match, which sees Hayes' fellow Freebird
Cheating?
Terry Gordy slam the cage door on Kerry's head as Von Erich tries to leave the cage, sets off the Von Erichs versus Freebirds feud, which rages across Texas for nearly 5 years.
Don't tell me there's cheating in wrestling.
It was just Kerry Von Erich is just above that. He's like, you knocked Flair out and put me on top of him. I'm not going to win like that.
Okay.
That's not how I win.
Yeah.
Plus, Terry Gordy slammed my head in the cage. It's on. It was the Fabulous Freebirds who were they were like mullet having guys who always had Confederate flags and played billiards.
Yeah.
Fighting the Von Erichs who were brothers. A whole family of wrestling people. They all killed themselves. There's like 7 of them. Their dad was Fritz Von Erich, and all these brothers that all wrestled. A couple.
And they all probably had TBIs.
Yeah, they all killed themselves. Yeah.
I mean, they probably all have TBIs. Look what
probably
happened
did.
to that Chris Benoit guy.
Yeah, he killed his family. He killed his kids and his wife. And
TBI.
killed himself. Yeah, TBI.
And that's NFL too. I don't know why you can be so pro NFL and wrestling.
I'm not pro. I'm just
all those brain
they're
injuries.
entertainment.
I know, but people are getting fucked up.
I know. Well, what are they going to do? What are
Not
they going to do if they don't
play
do that?
flag football?
Nobody's going to watch that.
Why not?
What are these people? Okay, say we get rid of the NFL and wrestling tomorrow. What jobs are those guys going to have?
Well, they're already fucked up. You might as well keep going
Are
with
they
the
gonna
ones
work-
that are already fucked
they
up,
gonna
but
work
just
at
don't
Arby's?
bring any new ones in. Or something. I don't
We're
know.
gonna solve it today.
I don't know. We got to get out of here, Chuck Berry.
This has been 1982. Sorry we failed.
Yep. Sorry, folks.
Get out of here, Chuck Berry.
Get out of here, Chuck
Get
Berry.
out, Chuck Berry. Get out of Chuck Berry. Get out of here. Chuck Berry.
Get out of here.
Get out of here, Chuck Berry.
Get out of here.
What are you doing here, Chuck Berry?
Get out of the bathroom.
Chuck Berry's in the bathroom again. Get out of here, Chuck Berry.